Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna finally get into doing this build. Let's do this. For those of you new to this channel and didn't watch the first video, well, in the first video we had a little dilemma with this case. Actually, two cases. I had two rear fans in the white edition and also the mirror edition. Rear exhaust fan was missing. So I contacted Corsair, and guess what we got, guys? We got the rear fan. So we're ready. Now we're gonna take the motherboard. We're gonna use this box as kind of a platform to set it on top of. We're gonna hook up the processor, the RAM, and the power supply and see if we can get this thing to post. Because before we just put it all inside of the case, we want to make sure that it turns on and we're not getting any errors. So yeah, as you can see, this motherboard has a I/O shield right here on the back, so it doesn't have a separate I/O shield, which is really nice. It's built into the motherboard. So these upper end motherboards, they have these built-in I/O shields. It's pretty nice. It looks like it's got a really nice back plate too on the back for extra support. Also, it looks like this is the LEDs. Some of the LEDs along this edge right here. Actually, both of these need to be opened. So this one needs to come open. This one needs to come open as well. I have this Noctua heat sink that I'm gonna try to place on here, so that way when we're doing our posts we have some kind of heat sink on the processor, so that way the processor doesn't overheat. Although we're not going to keep the computer on for very long. It's only going to be on for maybe a few seconds, just so that way we can see it go into the BIOS. But yeah, I'm not sure if this thing's going to fit though, so we'll find out. We'll push this little bar down over that and cinch it down. This one goes down first, so that way it can go underneath this metal portion right here, and this one goes down like so. Bam! So we got the processor installed. Cover. You want to always hold on to the motherboard processor cover, so that way in case you need it to send the motherboard back to the manufacturer. So make sure you put this in a place you know where it's at in case you need to send the motherboard back. Alright guys, check this out. 128 gigs of DDR4 memory. So DDR4 3200. We got 8 sticks of 16 gigabytes of G-scale memory. This is the RAM that actually has the lights on top. Pretty sweet looking stuff, man. That's what these sticks look like. Got one side that's black. The other side's got like kind of like a gunmetal silver, which is kind of nice. Goes really well with the theme of the motherboard, don't you think? Look at that. Got the black panel here on the motherboard on this heatsink shield down here on your south bridge. I heard this thing glows. Republic of Gamers logo insignia lights up, which is going to look really cool. And then here's that kind of that mirror type of material that they put over the top here, and this is supposed to have some designs that light up as well. So yeah, I think the color scheme goes really nice actually. It's pretty sweet. I'm so looking forward to this being this build, guys. It's just such a freaking awesome computer. So yeah, before we install these P6 of RAM though, we want to make sure that these are opened up. So open up all of these little little switches like that, and then yeah, we take our stick of RAM and make sure that it's lined up properly, that you're not sticking them in backwards or upside down. So I just kind of take a stick of RAM and you kind of can lean it over on its side just to kind of look at the direction of how the RAM's supposed to go in. So yeah, it looks like that the black side is going to go out. So what we'll do is we'll start with the first stick over here, and we'll push it all the way down. And you want to make sure when you put these in, you're putting them in evenly. You don't want to put them in at an angle. They're going in at the same time on both sides. And then, so what we want to do is you want to press down evenly across the top when you press these down. And you'll hear a click, just like so. And so that's secure. And then we'll just repeat that 7 more times. Yeah, so we have our processor installed, we have our RAM installed, 128 gigs of RAM, our i9-7980 Extreme Edition processor installed. So yeah, next step is probably to get the a heatsink on top of the processor. So yeah, by doing this first, guys, it's going to save us a lot of headache and hassle, especially if there's something that's wrong with the computer. Hopefully, God forbid, there's nothing wrong with this machine. Hopefully it will post right away and we'll be all set to go. And this is the Noctua heatsink that I need to test to see if it will even fit, because I'm not even sure if it will fit on this processor. So I believe it will. It does fit with my X99, but I'm not sure if it will fit with the X299. But we'll find out here pretty soon. I got the hardware here in this bag back here. So we'll put this. We won't need these guys because this is for the fans. We're not going to have the machine on long enough, so it won't matter. Won't make much of a difference. So these mounts, this should be the mounts to make this thing fit. I'm hoping. We'll see. About to find out. So it's got to go this way. Can't go this way because it'll hit the RAM. It's got to be like that. So the good news is, guys, is it looks like this this old generation Noctua heatsink that I have. I forget what model of this particular CPU cooler was, but I know that I had to get new hardware for it, because especially if I was going to install it with my X99 motherboard. If I was going to install this heatsink with my X99 motherboard, I know that the hardware that I did have was not compatible. So they actually had to call Noctua and have them send me some newer hardware. But yeah, I'm just installing these brackets and we're almost set, guys. I mean, really all we have left to do is hook up the video card and then hook up the power supply and put power to this thing and plug it into a monitor and see if we can get it to post. And then if we get it to post without errors, that makes me pretty happy, guys. I'm surprised that this old Noctua heatsink actually fit and mounted with these mounts to this motherboard. Yeah, very, very nice fit. There it is. Guys, we're having a little interesting dilemma here with this power, the CPU power up at the top of the motherboard. I don't know if you guys can see right here. The problem that we're having is right where it plugs in at the top right there, with this cable that was provided from Corsair in all the cables. You can tell on the back side of this we've got this like little knobby thing, and it's actually where the two cables are kind of connected together. That's creating an issue for them plugging all the way in, and if you're using this side of the cable, it won't plug into the back of the power supply. If you can see, there's just like So it'll only accept this part of the cable, this end of the cable. It'll only accept this end. So the problem is we have to shave this plastic off in order to get it to plug in. In order to acquire cool lighting and get this motherboard up and running, we're gonna have to do a little modification. This is what I've got. I know this is a little overkill. I probably should be using a Dremel instead, but hey, when you gotta get to work and get things done, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Trusty goggles. I've already started and got the majority of it off already. But there's just a little bit left to shave off. It's almost all the way down. We just got a little bit more to clean up. So here we go. All right, not too shabby, right guys? Looks pretty smooth. I don't even think I'll need any sanding to do on this. But I know that for this reason, the reason why there is this nodule thing on the back is because these cables are actually designed to pull apart. See? You can actually pull them apart. But for what we need them for, we actually need all 8 pins for this motherboard. Actually, this motherboard supports more than 8 pins. I think it supports 12. So, yeah. But yeah, that's it. And let's go back upstairs and get back to work. Alright guys, we're back. So we've got this cable. It's all shaved off now. Got a nice smooth surface on this backside. Now we can plug it into the CPU power up at the top of this motherboard. So hopefully it'll plug right in. And it's perfect. Plugged right in, no problem. And so this is what I was talking about. There's another 4 pins up at the top of this motherboard for power. And this is for EATX power. So yeah, we're going to plug that one in as well. This time around, it's okay that these nodules are going to be here. I think. I might be wrong about that. We might have to shave the backside of these ones off as well. Yeah, it kind of looks that way, guys. So let's see what happens if I pull these apart. Is this going to create a conflict or an issue or a problem? And the verdict is yes. It's going to put strain on this port if we push that in, and then it's gonna tweak this plastic and possibly pull it away from the motherboard, and we do not want that to happen. So we're gonna have to go back down to the garage again, and we're gonna have to go do the same thing as we did before. Alright guys, back again. This is round 2 of the cable horror story. I'm gonna plug it into this 4 pin up at the top, and the other side goes into the power supply. So one thing I've noticed so far, it's pretty tight. I mean, like, look how tight it is to this I/O shield right here, and then being able to have to detach the video card after we're done with the post, and then going further with the installation. It's going to be difficult to press that little release clasp for the video card. Is going to be difficult to press down. Very tight fit, so you'll have to use like a screwdriver to even get down in there. Got the power supply turned on. We're all ready to go. We've got this beautiful light design coming through this Asus motherboard. It's kind of got a sci-fi-ish kind of design. Alright guys, I'm going to press the power button. Let's see what happens. See if we can get this thing to post. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Alright, it's turned on, guys. Fingers are crossed. Oh, we got some nice glow effects going with the RGB lighting on the RAM. That looks so sweet. Oh my goodness. But are we getting a post? And oh, that's a good sign, guys. So what I did do, I messed up. We don't have power to the video card. So that's a good sign though. At least it's showing, it actually tells us that there's no power connected, PCI Express power connected to the video card. So that's a really, really good sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to power it down like it says. We're going to plug the cables in, the PCI Express cables, into the video card. And then we will power it back on to see if it will post into the BIOS. But so far, this is an excellent, excellent start. We've got full color on the motherboard. We've got the color on the sticks of RAM. everything seems like it's functioning so far, so that's a great sign. And see guys, this is what I'm talking about. Before you ever even start doing a build, you always test outside the case before you start throwing everything in, because once you throw it in, you're committed, and if there's anything that's going to be wrong with it, then you kind of SOL. So yeah, this is awesome. I'm super stoked. So let's power this thing down and we'll plug these cables back in and see what happens. There it is. We got our PCI Express power cables hooked up to our video card, and we're ready to rock and roll. Let's turn on this power supply. 3, 2, 1, power. Ooh, look at all the color. It is like a bunch of rainbow unicorns puking all over the place. I love it. All right, so nothing yet. I think it's still, we got a memory code. I think these memory codes, CPU codes, are normal. Just going through all of the protocols before trying to post. So hopefully it's not going to spit any nasty error messages. So far so good. So I think we have our RAM seated properly. And yeah, I do not see a code yet, so I'm waiting to see that code. Or I'm waiting to see the post. Excuse me. I'm waiting to see this thing post. And this is great, guys. BIOS is updating. LED firmware. Do not shut down or reset the system to prevent system boot up failure. So this is a great sign, guys. This is it booting up for the first time, and it seems like it's doing an auto update to the firmware. I don't have it hooked up to the internet or anything right now, so it's just doing its own thing. But yeah, this is really good sign, guys. So oh, look, there it is, guys. So that's great. That's it. That's what we were looking for, guys. This is the post. So yeah, you got this. Yep, there it is. So what does it say? Please enter setup to recover BIOS settings. CPU fan speed error detected. Yeah, so we don't want to leave this thing running too long, guys, because we do not have fans hooked up to this heatsink right here. But this is all a great sign. I mean, we just wanted to get the CPU installed and get everything installed onto the motherboard, so that way we have something to go off of. Now we know for sure that we can throw this thing inside of this into this Corsair MirrorBlack case, and we're ready to rock and roll. I figured out where these go. These are actually for the fan in the rear and the fan on the top. These rubber little O-rings with a little groove in the center of them. In the instruction manual, it doesn't say where these go or what they're used for. But I just kind of put 2 and 2 together just by looking at the case. You can tell the metal is that thin, and that's the type of material. It would fit right in here, and so I can show you real quick, like right here. Yeah, see, they fit in there perfect. So that's where these little rubber O-ring grommet things go. Somebody had asked me a question on YouTube that if there was RGB lighting strips provided that came along with this case. There is not any light strips that are provided that come with the case. It's kind of unfortunate. I mean, you're paying $190 for a case. You would think that they would provide, you know, RGB lighting strips. I would think so. But yeah, they're not there. Anyways, yeah, let's just continue to do this build. It's going pretty well so far. I'm fairly happy with it. This is going to be probably one of my favorite computer builds so far that I've done, out of probably like the 50 or 100 builds that I've done. I don't even know how many I've done now. It's been a lot. We're going to put this motherboard in and let's go get to it. What we're doing here is we've got the motherboard installed inside the case, and now we're going to mount the motherboard to standoff screws that are attached to the case. So I'm going to use the screws provided by Corsair to do this. and then we'll talk about hooking up some of these wires that are on the case and what they are, what they go to. We have the motherboard mounted to the case, and it looks pretty sweet so far. I'm digging it. I like the I think this mirror effect that they have on the motherboard is going to go really nice with the outside mirror that we have on the case. So the next step is it's going to be a combination of several things. I'd say the next most critical step is figuring out where this CPU radiator is going to be mounted. I don't believe it will fit up top. It's the large 360 millimeter radiator, so I think the only place in this case it will fit, unless you do like major optimization or tweaking. But the only other place I think it'll fit is right here in the front. So yeah, so we're gonna have to install that, install the power supply, and yeah, and then it's gonna be a lot of cable management, doing a ton of cable management. So, but before that, we could go over some of this. This plug-in right here is your USB 3.1 Type C cable. This will be plugging in to the USB 3.1 port that's on this particular motherboard. It's located right here. And then you also have your HD audio port. This is probably for your headphones and for your microphone port up at the top. So that will function. And then we also have your USB 3.0, and that's what this one is. And then this is a SATA power. This is connected to the Lighting Pro node that's on the back of the case. So that SATA power connects to this. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna mount the power supply. We're gonna mount it with the fan facing up. There's several reasons why I'm gonna be doing this, but for the most part, the main reason is we basically want a second exhaust, and this is going to act as another area where it'll be pulling air out of the case. So we'll also have our rear exhaust up here, and then we'll also have an exhaust port here. These newer power supplies, they're a lot more efficient than older power supplies, so this thing will not be running at max RPM the whole entire time. There'll be periods of time where this particular power supply will just shut off completely and the fan will not be spinning at all. So it'll only be spinning when it's under load, but extremely efficient. And this is going to go underneath this shroud right here. Well, so guys, I was a little mistaken there. I thought that I was gonna have to install this first, the radiator, but as it turns out, I'm gonna have to put in these fans. So these fans that came with the case, I'm replacing them with the LL120 RGB fans. These got a little bit better effects around the outside of the interior of the fan, and also in the center. So they're a little different than the fans that come with the case. I'll probably end up using these fans at some point, maybe on my other case. installing the radiator right now, and I've been removing these screws out the front right here because we need to use these long screws with the washers. Another really nice thing about these fans is they are going to be super quiet. Just because the magnetic levitation portion of the fan having no bearings, just less friction, so it's just floating there. We're gonna mount the radiator header. This is what we got so far. It's looking pretty good. We got our push and pull configuration with our fans, with the radiator sandwiched in between. So these front fans will be pulling air in and then across the radiator cooling it, and then these inside fans will be pulling it in the same direction. That's why, hence push-pull configuration. And then with this bottom fan for the power supply, it will be our exhaust. It'll be pulling air out of the case. So any hot air that's generating heat as it passes through the radiator will escape out this this port, and as well as this rear fan port. So the top fans, we've got cool air pulling in, and it's going to be creating a draft of air going across the top of the ram, the DIMMs, the 8 DIMMs. So that will be cooling the ram. So you'll have this very nice airflow continuing throughout the case, and it'll be a very neutral type of airflow. It won't be too positive or too negative. So yeah, that's what we have so far, and the next step is pretty much we're getting into the cable management end of things now. Yeah, if you can look on the back of this thing, guys, there's a lot of work to do as far as cable management goes. Tons of wires to route and then hide as well. It's gonna be tricky, but we'll be able to get it. So this is the M.2 that I went with. It's a 1 terabyte 960 Pro. Very dependable, reliable SSD. Extremely fast, way faster than your regular SATA type of transfer. So this will be mounted on the motherboard. So if you can see in this frame, the position of it is it's right here, this slot right down here. That's where the M.2 is going to be installed. So yeah, what we'll do is the motherboard came with an adapter. You can actually install 2 M.2s onto this. See, one right here on this side, and then the other over here on this side. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. I have not used this yet. I'm not sure how well it works, but I think it's a good idea. So yeah, there we go. We have the 1 terabyte M.2 installed to the M.2 expansion board for the Asus Rampage 6 motherboard, and we're gonna install it onto the motherboard. And there it is, guys. It looks like it just installs kind of like a regular stick of RAM, you know, in a DIMM slot. So that's pretty nifty. I kind of like that because it's out of the way down here. Although you can, on this particular motherboard, install an M.2 underneath this panel. There is a slot to install another M.2. I believe that's socket 3. So you do not need to use this expansion board if you don't want to, but I'm going to use the expansion board. I kind of like it. I'm also thinking of I'm going to be doing another probably 1 terabyte on the opposite side, so it's nice that you can put 2 M.2s on one expansion board. Yeah, just a quick tip, guys. So you might be wondering why I have twist ties. I use these twist ties because they're a temporary solution for routing wires along the case. So I can like get a group of wires, twist tie them to the case, and then if I need to add another wire to that route of wires, I can just untwist it real quick and then twist it back up. And it really helps. I mean, instead of using like a zillion zip ties, and then you're just wasting a bunch of zip ties, because you're gonna have to end up cutting it and then routing it or putting a zip tie over a zip tie. It just makes sense. I thought I'd share that quick little tip with you guys. I don't know if one of you guys have already discovered that, but yeah, that's what I do. So, man, let's get to work. We have a lot of work to do. A lot of cleanup, man. So yeah, guys, I'm hooking up my powered LED. I don't believe this case has a reset switch, which is kind of weird. It just has a power switch. Most cases have a reset switch, but for whatever reason this case is pretty limited on the switches, and all it has is a power LED and a power switch. So I'm guessing if you need to reset your case, you just have to hold the power button down. Alright, all my tech creeps out there, I am trying to decide where to place this Corsair CommanderPro module. So, as you can see on the back side of this case, there's not too many places to put this thing. I mean, like, we don't have very much. I mean, I'm trying to make the most out of the room that I can possibly get on this thing, and so far what we're looking at is, I think the best place for it is right here. Now, that's not to say though, if we eliminate these drives, these drive cages, or the SSD cages, which I don't want to eliminate the SSD cages. If anything, I want to be able to upgrade my SSDs over time, so I need a place to put those. I know there is a spot on the inside of this case though. So right here, guys, right here on this inside, you could put an SSD. So I'm thinking, and even up here, there's some spots right here and here. But I really want it clean inside. I don't want a bunch of clutter and a mess. Also, everything that you put inside the case, it's just, you're continually adding to air reduction. You know, anything, I mean, maybe not so much an SSD, but every cable that comes across, it's reducing the amount of airflow. It's restricting. So, so I'm trying to keep it very clean, clutter-free. And so far we're doing a great job. This thing is looking freaking amazing, man. Stellar, like I said, man, guys. The Interstellar right here. But yeah, I am, like I said, debating on where to place this CommanderPro. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it right here. And then also we have this Corsair Link digital module as well. And this goes with the power supply, the Corsair AX1200i power supply. So I'm thinking we're going to place this guy right next to the Corsair CommanderPro. And we won't have a very long ways to go with our USB connection to the CommanderPro. So I'm going to use one of the ports, USB 2.0 ports on the CommanderPro to plug in my Corsair Link module. So I think they're both going to go right back here like so. And then I've still got a little bit of some messy wires to maintain here, and hopefully I can get this thing built today for you guys, because I can't wait to just get this video up on YouTube. I know you guys are probably just being like, man, I want to see it, I want to see it. So do I, believe me. we're coming in towards the finish line. This cable management was pretty difficult. I've built quite a few computers, so with my experience, it wasn't crazy hard. I probably could have done a little bit of a nicer job. I still need to put this panel on and strap some things down and remove some tape. But other than that, we are pretty close to finished. One thing to note is these 3 switches up here for the lighting controller for the speed, color, and mode. I think that these are going to have to be abandoned because from my research, digging online, I couldn't figure out and find a way to hook this up with the CommanderPro that I have installed down here on the power supply. So I'll be able to control the lights internally with the Corsair Link software, but I don't think I'll be able to control them with these switches no longer. I'm gonna try to search for more information on that, and I will get back to you guys. There's probably a way to set this up. All right, well that's it. We finally finished the cable management. It looks pretty awesome, guys. I think we did a great job on this. It's as clean as I could pretty much get it for the time being. I know it's a little cluttered down here, man, and I tell you, like, SATA cables, SATA power cables are probably the ugliest and most just difficult cables to hide. I mean, out of all the cables, these things are wide and they're cumbersome, and even the cables that they give you with the power supply, that come with the power supply, they don't even give you enough space in the cable to reach from one SSD to the other. So that was kind of a little bit of a pain in the neck, but we work with what we can work with. So anyhow, I think what we want to do next is remove this tape. Also, just the reason why I put the tape there to begin with is it makes it a lot easier to keep organized, especially when you have a power connection for the fan that needs to be plugged into the Corsair CommanderPro, and then you have a separate wire connection for the RGB fan that needs to plug into the 6-way that comes with the RGB fans. So I have 2 6-ways right here that I've actually mounted one on top of the other. And the reason why I mounted them on top of the other is because we don't have much space to work with in this case. As you can see, we're very limited with space, so I thought it was clever to stack the 2 on top of each other, and it flushes up perfectly fine with the glass. If you guys are wondering what this tape is, it's actually blue painter's tape. The reason why I use blue painter's tape instead of regular masking tape is because it comes off a lot easier than regular masking tape. Regular masking tape has a tendency to have a residue that's on the tape that kind of gets stuck to the cables, so that's the reason why I went with the blue painter's tape. Ooh, like that sound. Wax on, wax off like Mr. Miyagi. Alright, that's the last piece right here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I got my celebration shirt on tonight for this special occasion. But here it is, the final last piece of glass going on. The new Crystal Series Corsair 570X MirrorBlack Edition. Last piece of plastic coming off, guys. The moment everybody's been waiting for, including my wife, who's helped me with this video. I don't know about you guys, but hey, you could reflect on your dark side in this case, but I think it's better just to brush your teeth and comb your hair in front of it. I mean, instead of going to your bathroom every morning to comb your hair and brush your teeth, why don't you just stand in front of your case? I mean, that's what I would do. Reflect on brushing your teeth and combing your hair. And then your dark side. Well, that is one pretty case. That's what I've got to say about this case. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. We're gonna count down 3, 2, 1. Man, one thing I'd like to say about this case so far is it is quiet. I mean, these fans, these LL120 millimeter fans, I am so impressed with these fans. They are super, super quiet. The colors are very vibrant. I mean, I don't know how vibrant they're turning out on this camera, but in person, I mean, these things are just going off the charts with the colors. Okay, well, so the Corsair logos that are on the front and on the side, they're RGB on this case. That's a new feature. Corsair told me that you cannot hook these RGB logos up to the CommanderPro and have it change colors. That's not true. I actually discovered this. It will work. In order to get it to work though, what you need to do is you need to plug it in to one of the channels. I have it plugged in on channel 1 of the 6-way that's provided, that comes in the 3-pack of fans, the LL120 fans. It's plugged into its own 6-way, and then that 6-way is plugged into the LED 2 channel on the CommanderPro. The one trick how to get it to work though, it's actually in the Corsair link if you look over here. So by default, LED channel 1, actually I said it was channel 2, it's actually in channel 1, my bad. So by default it's on RGB LED strip. Well, if that's selected, guys, and it's applied, if you look on the case now, the RGB logos are not illuminated at all. So that means that it will not work. Like Corsair was stating, they don't work, right? Well, through a little bit of experimentation and trial and error, I went through every single one of these settings, and the one setting that does work with the RGB logos on the case is the RGB SP fan. Now if I apply that, instantly I get color right down here, and then it allows me to change the different settings that come with the CommanderPro. There's default settings. You got rainbow, you have color shift, you have color pulse, static, temperature, blink, and sequential channel effect. So each one of these effects actually works with the logos, guys. Yeah, so I just changed it, and you can change the color down here to whatever color. You can change the speed. So yeah, it's really, really cool. I think that's a really nice feature. And so the thing is Corsair told me the only way to get these things to work was through the lighting control on the case. The 3 switches up here, that was the only way. I didn't want it to work that way. I wanted it to work with the rest of my fans that I had installed in here. So as of right now, I've pretty much abandoned the 3 lighting controls on top, and also the 3 lighting controls internally that would plugged into the 6-way originally. That's all abandoned. So it's going directly all into the CommanderPro, and that thing is awesome. I mean, I had a little trouble with it at first. Nothing was lighting up correctly, but I had to play with my settings, and once I did that, I was able to achieve the lighting that I desired. So, and all of these lightings are customizable. I mean, like if we go into the fan controls, you can change these to whatever. I think a really cool one is this Pong effect. It's pretty cool. So if I apply this, if you see, the light actually follows the fans, and so that also to get that to work properly, you guys, you have to make sure when you hook these fans up, they're in the correct order, 1 through 6. So just make sure that you're putting the you know, all of the channels in the fans into the correct channel. The easiest way to do that is, like I had showed you earlier, use a piece of like tape, blue tape, painter's tape. I was like the perfect little necessity to get to achieve that. So I thought that helped out really well. So yeah guys, this is the Crystal Series Corsair 570X Mirror Edition Black. I hope you appreciate the time and energy I put into making this video for you guys. I've been trying hard to get this video out, get it up on YouTube. I would so appreciate if you guys would subscribe, throw me a like if you like it, dislike if you dislike it, and I'd love to hear your guys' feedback and hear your guys' thoughts and what I could do to make this channel the best. So I wish you guys the best. This is Chris the Tech Keeper from Tales to the Tech, and we will see you next time.